Welcome to the Elementary Math Early Release Day Teacher PD for 3rd grade mathematics. This placemat grounds all of the work we do in CMS. It helps to ensure we are all aligned to the district's core beliefs, as well as the district's mission, vision, goals and guardrails, and pillars of excellence. Our training today is aligned to the academic pillar of excellence. My name is Sonia Gregory, and I am one of 6 elementary math curriculum specialists in the CMS Learning and Teaching Department. Hopefully, you are gathered with your grade level PLC to engage in this asynchronous PD. If you are not, then pause the video to convene as a PLC. This will foster collaboration and promote collective learning and the exchanging of ideas during the PD. These are our session norms. Pause the video to peruse the norms, then select one to guide your learning today. Our learning outcomes today are to understand the story of Unit 3 in 3rd grade, explore tasks and come to understand how they progress vertically, learn multiple ways to access the PLC Unit Deep Dive resources to support unit unpacking, become familiar with updated district provision math resources, receive some just-in-time support reminders for standard NC3, MD7, do a little math, and navigate to Math Rocks to unpack the Unit 3 curriculum guide. Let's get started. Now let's do some math. Pause the video and respond to the bold-type question. What standard is aligned to this task? When might a task like this appear within the story of Unit 3? Where would a task like this one fit within the K-5 math learning progression for solving word problems? Let's take a look back to 2nd grade. Why is understanding vertical coherence so important? Let's unlock the power of knowing how content builds by completing a few tasks. The first task is a 2nd grade task. The purpose of the task is to help you understand why 3rd grade Unit 3 matters within the larger coherence of the K-5 curriculum. It will allow you to see how the topic was approached in 2nd grade within the curriculum. The unit learning goal from which this task originates is for students to use place value understanding, the relationship between addition and subtraction, and properties of operations to add and subtract within 1000. Pause the video and solve the task independently. When you finish, share your solutions with your PLC. Then discuss the guiding questions on the screen with your team. Continue this video when your team discussion ends. In Unit 3, students recall important work with base 10 diagrams from 2nd grade. They review how these base 10 diagrams can show addition and subtraction, including situations that require composing or decomposing a 10. Students use their knowledge of base 10 diagrams and place value as a foundation to make sense of several algorithms for addition and subtraction introduced as new strategies in the unit. Now let's look ahead to consider how the learning in 3rd grade Unit 3 prepares students for 4th grade. We will use this activity. Pause the video and complete the task in this activity independently. Take note of the unit learning goal before you begin. When you finish, share your solutions with your PLC. Then discuss the guiding questions on the screen with your team. Continue this video when your team discussion ends. The work of Unit 3 solidifies students' understanding of place value when adding and subtracting, and it prepares them to generalize this to larger numbers and decimals. The increasingly abstract and streamlined algorithms the students use also prepares them for the standard algorithm in 4th grade. Let's sum up our vertical experience. In 3rd grade, we built on the work of K2 with solving addition and subtraction word problems. In kindergarten, students solved addition and subtraction word problems within 20. In 1st grade, students not only represented and solved addition and subtraction word problems within 20, but they also represented and solved word problems that called for the addition of 3 whole numbers, whose sum is less than or equal to 20. That's right, 1st graders solved 2-step word problems. In 2nd grade, students represented and solved addition and subtraction word problems within 100. Now we are in 3rd grade. where our students solved one-step multiplication word problems in Unit 1, and we'll solve two-step word problems involving addition, subtraction, and/or multiplication in Unit 3. Solving multi-step word problems continues in 4th grade and 5th grade, as you see here. Before you begin instruction of a new unit, it is important to unpack that unit with your PLC. To support your efforts, we have provided PLC Unit Deep Dive planning resources for each unit. You will need the 3rd grade Unit 3 PLC Deep Dive documents before you continue. There are several ways to access the resource. Here's a 4th grade example. And here is the trail that leads you to the 3rd grade Unit 3 PLC Deep Dive resources. It's the same pathway as 4th grade, except you will click the 3rd grade button along the way. If you are not enrolled in Math Rocks, you can watch the next screen recording. It shows a second pathway to district provision elementary math resources. A third way to access Unit PLC Deep Dive resources is located on Slide 2 in the Curriculum Planning Guides. Pause the video to gather Unit 3 PLC Deep Dive resources. Complete tasks 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 with your PLC. Once you're finished completing all of these unit unpacking tasks, continue this video. All important resources for each unit can be found in the Unit Curriculum Guide. Let's take a walk through the Unit 3 Curriculum Guide to highlight where you can find and access important information and resources. Each curriculum guide is divided into the following sections. Curriculum supports, which provide access to the PLC Unit Deep Dive resources. Standards taught in the unit, the unit assessment, reassessment, and section checkpoints, planning notes per lesson, and small group support. Units 1 through 3 are now available in Math Rocks. All resources can be accessed through the Unit Curriculum Guide. Just click the links where applicable. The next part of the Curriculum Guide highlights the standards taught in the unit. You can see a full explanation of each standard by clicking on the edge of the yellow Post-it note on the slide. It will reroute you to the North Carolina Unpacking Documents for 3rd grade mathematics. The standards in the unit are on slides that look like this. Then you come to the assessment section. The unit assessment can be accessed here. Just click the image of the assessment and it will take you directly to the unit assessment. The reassessment link is linked below the image of the unit assessment. The section checkpoints are on the next slides. Click the image of each checkpoint to access it. The purpose of the checkpoints and usage guidance are listed here. The next part of the curriculum guide is called Planning Notes. You will find comprehensive information about the unit and the lessons. Within the planning notes is a unit overview or summary of the unit. And there is also a summary for each section of the unit. A section is a group of related lessons aligned to a specific learning goal. Here's the summary for Section A, in which all of the lessons teach addition. The Section B summary highlights subtraction strategies. The Section C summary briefly explains how rounding will be used as an estimation strategy to support sense making as well as adding and subtracting within 1,000 during the unit, while Section D highlights what to expect during instruction of two-step word problems. Now let's review the goals of each section in Unit 3. One goal of Section A is for students to use place value understanding to compose and decompose numbers. Another goal of Section A is for students to fluently add within 1,000, using strategies based on place value and properties of operations. Strategies include addition algorithms that use the expanded form of place value. Exploring addition algorithms in 3rd grade will lay a foundation for 4th grade, in which it is an expectation that the standard algorithm is used. The goal of Section B is for students to fluently subtract within 1,000, using strategies based on place value, properties of operations, and the relationship between addition and subtraction. They will analyze and use subtraction strategies and connect them to subtraction algorithms. Students initially begin to work by using base 10 blocks and place value drawings to subtract numbers. Then they move on to using the expanded form of place value to further explore subtraction algorithms. Just like Section A, exploring algorithms in 3rd grade will lay a foundation for 4th grade, in which it is an expectation of the standard to use the standard algorithm to add and subtract. In Section C, students will round whole numbers to the nearest multiple of 10 and 100. This work relies on and reinforces their understanding of place value. Number line diagrams are used to help students think about the multiple of 10 or the multiple of 100 that is closer to a given number. Students learn that when we find the nearest multiple of 10 or 100, we are rounding to the nearest 10 or rounding to the nearest 100. They also see that rounding on a number line to the nearest 10 or to the nearest 100 can sometimes produce the same result. Lastly, in Section D, students will solve two-step word problems using addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and assess the reasonableness of their answers. In this section, students encounter more complex problems, think about the reasonableness of their answers, and use rounding to make estimates. Following the section summaries is a list of centers that are either introduced in the curriculum for the first time within that unit or that are being spiraled from previous units. This slide shows the flow of a 90-minute math block from the warm-up at the beginning to the cool-down at the end to small group time. The planning notes section also includes individual lesson notes. Here you access links to the teacher lesson, student-facing slide decks, a digital copy of the student workbook, the cool-downs, the practice problems, and the practice problem answer keys. Other important information is also listed in the notes, such as the aligned state standards, the lesson learning target, the purpose of the lesson, and materials to prep. Additional notes are included where applicable. The additional note could be about the TEIs, which are the digitized practice problems in Mastery Connect. TEI stands for Technology Enhanced Items. The additional note could be a reminder that the practice problems for a particular lesson are a recommended graded assignment as indicated in the K-12 assignment categories. Last but not least, the additional note may alert you if a lesson doesn't include a cool-down, like the optional Lesson 21 in Unit 3. Before we move on from the lesson notes, look at the last resource listed in the Resources row. It is the name of the practice problems for the lessons as they exist in Mastery Connect as TEI items. Remember, the practice problems in Mastery Connect are the same as the ones in the student workbook. They were built in Mastery Connect and loaded to your tracker, so you can provide ample opportunities for digital practice with TEIs before students take a unit assessment, the MVPAs, and the end-of-grade math test. You can access the practice problems the same way you access your unit assessments, by syncing your tracker. Remember, sometimes a set of practice problems live behind or within a standard on your tracker because it is aligned to a single standard. The small gray box above a standard indicates how many assessments and practice problem sets have been created for that standard. When you click the standard, they will appear just like you see here for NC3 MD3. The technology-enhanced items consist of a variety of question types, including numeric entry and the traditional multiple choice items. Here are a few examples students will encounter. Drag the bar to make bar graphs, using the drawing tool or text tool, clicking on a grid to create a rectangle and find its area, using the text box to type, and drag and drop. The final section of the curriculum guide is the small group support section. This section highlights big ideas of the unit, key teaching points, and resources that can be used to re-engage students in the work of the unit as needed. You will also find resources to extend learning in the final column on these slides. You might be wondering when to use the small group resources in the curriculum guide. A time in which you can use the resources is to re-engage students in content that has already been taught during small group time. These students are typically those who still need clarity or guidance on specific skills and concepts. Another time to use the resources is when enhancing the learning of students who are ready to apply what they've learned throughout the unit. Re-engagement in the content of a unit should take place during the daily 30 minutes designated for small group instruction. Extended practice by way of the practice problems and centers. You can also use these resources to re-engage students on the Putting It All Together day, prior to the unit assessment and on the reassessment days. And of course, you can use these resources to re-engage students on flex days. Remember, just be intentional about the small group resources you select and why. Ground your decisions in data. Use various data points to address the range of skills not yet demonstrated by flexible groups of students to ensure all students are on the pathway to mastery. Great sources of data are cooldowns, section checkpoints, practice problems, observation or anecdotal notes, discourse data or student talk, and other response data, such as work samples examined during the lesson activities. All parts of the curriculum guides will support your PLC as you collectively deep dive into each unit. Currently, Unit 3 is available, and Unit 4 will become available on October 13th. You can access this material's release document in Math Rocks on the home page above the grade level buttons. There is a teacher workday on November 4th that could be used to unpack Unit 4 as a PLC if you choose. Or you can wait until the November 19th early release day asynchronous teacher PD. During this PD, we will dive into Unit 4, which addresses division concepts, and prepare for Unit 5, which addresses fraction concepts. Before you complete your knowledge-based questions, here are a few reminders. The MVPA will be administered from November 17th to November 25th, and here are the standards that will be assessed in third grade. There are recommended dates on the district pacing calendar to administer the MVPA. However, individual schools can decide when to administer the test within the testing window based on their school testing calendar. And here's a little bit about tidbits. Weekly tidbits for third grade are provided to enhance your understanding of the story of a unit, support future planning and prep, and suggest just-in-time instructional support considerations that will make grade-level content accessible to all students. Weekly tidbits are delivered directly to your email account. If you haven't been receiving the weekly tidbits, then subscribe using the link on slide 2 in the curriculum guide. And speaking of tidbits, check out the upcoming tidbits for just-in-time support considerations while teaching standard NC3 MD7. Guidance includes how to appropriately scaffold tasks that require students to use manipulatives, expressions, and equations to explain how the distributive property can be used to find the areas of large rectangles. The just-in-time supports will help build fact fluency for multiplication facts not yet known by students. Here's a reminder about iReady. After administering the Universal Screener, there are several ways to use iReady resources effectively. First, students can follow the platform-created learning pathways outside of whole group core instructional time to reinforce their current performance levels. The district expectation is that every student completes and passes 45 minutes of learning pathway content per week per content area. Secondly, teachers can assign lessons aligned to on-grade level standards currently being taught in the curriculum, which also should be completed outside of the whole group core time. Suggested times for completing activities outside of whole group core instruction include morning work, differentiated core time, flex days, homework, and after-school programs. Now it's time for you to complete your knowledge-based questions and take attendance. Teachers and master teachers, you have 2 survey forms in one. You have a QR code for the grade level content and a bit.ly link to the district attendance form. Teachers and master teachers, the first thing you should do is answer the 5 knowledge-based questions, then press submit. The bit.ly will automatically pop up, which will lead you to the district form that includes directions for next steps. Guidance on how to complete the form is on the right side of the screen. Master teachers, you have one more step. You need to complete all of the end of PD tasks, including the knowledge-based question survey, and then try to accomplish whatever you can in PLC today. If you need today's slide deck, it is located at the bottom. Thank you for your time together. Don't forget to complete your knowledge-based question survey and complete your attendance on the district forum. Take care.